Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you. The Morning Majority, 630. WMAL.
7:07 on WMAL, Morning Majority. Brian Neiman, Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Wilson. Coming up 1 hour from now, we've got John Funn from the Wall Street Journal. KT McFarland about a half hour from now on national security issues, biggest dealings going on in Yemen. And Daniel Hannan will be joining us live in studio, a conservative member of the European Parliament. Right now, we're joined by Steve Hayes from the Weekly Standard. I have to ask you first, Steve, we had a debate this morning about Anthony Weiner, just with a twist, and that is whether or not Republicans should get involved. Yesterday, Eric Cantor was calling for his resignation, the head of the RNC also calling for his resignation. Should the GOP, wade into that mess, or should they just let the Democrats handle it on their own?
Yeah, I think they should let the Democrats handle it on their own. What's the old saying when your opponent is beating himself up, get out of the way, or I forget what it is, but self-destructing, get out of the way.
Right.
I think that's the best advice in this situation. There's not much they can add. I mean, what more can they say?
Well, I mean, I guess maybe the idea was to demand a resignation because it's Eric Cantor. He's in the House. Hey, we've dismissed. We pretty much have pushed our members out for doing similar things, and
right.
we need a standard bearer, I guess, for scandals, which ultimately lead to a resignation. But I tend to agree with that.
Well, one thing about Cantor's, his remarks were very brief. He was asked the question, he answered it very quickly. He didn't dwell upon it, didn't make a big deal about it. But
I don't think that's a problem. And Reince Priebus, the head of the Republican Party, did say yesterday that he thought that Weiner should go. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The mistake would be if Republicans, now started getting up and giving speeches about it or looking to talk about it in a way to sort of shine a light on Weiner and highlight his behavior.
Do you think that he can survive this? Can he make it without resigning?
Boy, if you would have asked me a couple days ago, I would have said yes. It sounds like Democrats inside their caucus don't want him to survive. He doesn't have many friends at all. I was talking to a member of Congress last night who said he is one of the most unpopular members of Congress in either house. And that's true regardless of party. And, yesterday you had Nancy Pelosi refer it to congressional ethics. I think that was meant to put pressure on him to say, hey, you're not going to skirt these laws. And I think that for the problem, or these rules, part of the problem is he gives this press conference yesterday where he is, in effect, trying to come clean, and it's this huge mea culpa, and then, or 2 days ago, and then yesterday it emerges that a number of the things that he claimed in his press conference are false, just not true. So you've got people now asking questions about what he said at the time that he was supposedly coming forward and telling the entire truth. So I think this isn't going away.
I, for one, am shocked. He seems like such a charming man on TV that he would be unpopular.
You're probably surprised about John Edwards, too, weren't you?
I do want to ask you about this poll that comes out, sort of a shock poll yesterday, ABC Washington Post, shows Romney up 2 points with registered voters over Obama. This is largely because of some of the very dismal economic numbers for Obama, especially among independents. A lot of conservatives have been not too hype on Romney because of the healthcare stuff in Massachusetts. Is it second look at Romney time?
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably is. I mean, his main selling point, I think, for many conservatives is one word: electability. So, I mean, I think you've got people who are, in some cases, willing to suspend their preferences and go with the guy who's most electable. I was in Iowa last week at a Tim Pawlenty event, and he would give his own version of what he thinks the economy we should be doing on economic policy. Take down these issues, and he got applause. And he's a decent speaker. He got applause, but anytime he mentioned that Obama had to go, the room would just erupt and roar. That's what Republicans want. And I think if Romney looks increasingly like the guy who can deliver it to him, that certainly helps him.
Speaking of our current president, yesterday he got on record and said he's not really all that concerned about the possibility of a double dip recession. Look, I want to say right up front, Stephen, I'm not an economist. I just sometimes play one on the radio. But the bottom line is a lot of people are looking at the signs and signals and they're going, man, there's a lot of stuff blinking red. What's your sense of this?
I cannot believe he said he's not concerned. I mean, as a president, don't you have to at least say, well, of course I'm concerned. I'm concerned about the job numbers, but I think we're going in the right direction. Something to that effect. Look, that's the third thing he's said in the past week that it sounds to me like it's something Republicans could use in an ad in a year if things aren't improving. You've got, on the one hand, him saying last week that these jobs numbers were a quote-unquote bump in the road. It's the kind of thing you would expect to hear from a college professor or a statistician or somebody who looks at this coldly and analytically. Not the kind of thing you'd expect to hear from a president who knows he's got to be to win voters over at the polls.
Yeah, but he is cold and analytical. I mean, that's his style. I defended him saying that I'm not concerned about a double-dip recession because if you say that you are concerned about it, that sends the wrong message to the economy as well. It sends the wrong message to the markets and sends the wrong message to the American people. I mean, the Bush administration didn't even want to ever talk about the R word. I mean, they never wanted to mention that. So that's why I didn't have a big problem with him saying that he wasn't concerned about it.
Well, I understand the point that you're making, but there are ways to get around that. I think you can say, of course, you're always concerned about the possibility that the economy is moving in the wrong direction. Anytime you go from an economy that's producing 200,000+ jobs from January to May to one that produces 54,000 jobs, we got to be careful and take a careful look at how this is. I mean, I think there's a way to sort of dress it up and express your concern without alarming people. I don't understand. Sorry. I don't understand why he wasn't able to do that. Doesn't make sense to me. And then, he also said, then he called it a blip again yesterday. I mean, last week when he's calling it a bump in the road, it makes him sound cold and analytical.
You can hear the voiceover now.
Yeah.
A blip.
It was just
a bump
blip.
He
in
called
the road.
the economy a blip.
Exactly.
What do you make of Newt Gingrich, who wants to be the next president of the United States and apparently is on a cruise or was on a cruise in Greece, taking a timeout, a holiday, or a vacation already from the campaign trail? I mean, can you really be serious about being the next president of the United States if you're taking a vacation in Greece a couple of weeks after you announce?
Yeah, I mean, I saw his flack was spinning that this had been long planned and that he'd put in so much time and so much work.
As if the campaign was not long planned?
Leading up to this point, yeah. I mean, I don't think that sends the right message, to be sure, but I think, his sort of meltdown on national TV a few weeks ago and attacking Paul Ryan and then trying to spin that back and not doing it very artfully. I mean, whatever, slim chance he had of rocketing toward the Republican nomination, I think.
I'm getting a little sick and tired of all these people who say they're running for president, and really what they're doing is they're just trying to heighten their profile. They're trying to have a say in policy. They're trying to be on the stage, but they're not serious about it.
What, you don't think George Pataki thinks he can win? I agree with you. I mean, this is a field that'll filter out, I think, sooner rather than later. You'll get to Ames, the Iowa straw poll in the second week of August, and you'll, I think, pretty quickly see who's serious and who's not, and the others will sort of